This day in sports history. This episode is brought to you by the Stirling Soap Company. I'm a big fan of shave soap. I've been using different brands for years, and I recently gave Stirling's shave soaps a try, and I've been very happy with the results. Stirling's shave soaps give you a great lather and a frictionless feel that allows the razor to glide right over the skin for a super close shave. No skin irritation and a clean, refreshing feel with no soapy residue after. I can tell you without a doubt, it's simply the best shave I've ever had. And my wife has noticed too. And here's the thing. With the ability to purchase 1-ounce sample pucks, you can try out different scents to find the right one for you. Give Stirling Soap a try today. Visit stirlingsoap.com. That's STIRLING soap.com. It's January 22nd, and on this day in 1973, it was the Sunshine Showdown in Kingston, Jamaica, between George Foreman and Joe Frazier, and it led to one of the most often used boxing phrases in American pop culture. This was a matchup of two undefeated fighters. Foreman was the top challenger, and he had a record of 34-0. He also had the reputation of being a heavy puncher. He was 5 inches taller than Frazier, and he had a reach 6 inches longer. And yet, he came into this fight as a heavy underdog. Frazier was 29-0 and had become WBA champion in 1970 with a win over Jimmy Ellis, and then he had beaten Muhammad Ali in the fight of the century in March of 1971. Now, Frazier figured this would be a quick fight in his favor. It was a fast fight, but it did not go his way. In the first round, Foreman used his powerful punch to put Frazier on the mat. Here's Howard Cosell with the blow-by-blow commentary that includes his iconic call that night.
Oh, Foreman connected, as you saw. He's a big, strong boy. He likens this fight to the same kind of problem he faced. There's another left by George. He's getting into Frazier's head. We'll find out tonight how much the Ali fight took out of Frazier, if anything. And we'll find out tonight just how good George Foreman is in punching and in taking a punch. I think he hurt Joe Frazier. I think Joe is hurt. Angie Dundee, Ali's trainer, right next to me, is saying it. You may hear him. Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! The heavyweight champion is taking the mandatory 8 count, and Foreman is as poised as can be in a neutral corner. He is as poised as can be. We have a minute left in this first round, and already this fight is proving out what some have expected. Oh, that left is getting in there. Underneath, Archie Moore is yelling to Foreman. We've got the excitement here that we look for.
After that, the fight was never in doubt. Foreman put him down on the mat 2 more times in the first. The fight went to a second round, but Frazier was wobbly on his feet, and after falling twice on his own and then being knocked down again, the fight was stopped after 5 minutes and 26 seconds. Foreman was the new undisputed heavyweight champion. And of course, Cosell's "Down Goes Frazier" has become part of regular day vernacular as part of the Urban Dictionary to describe anything that stumbles, falls, goes down hard, trips up, falls asleep unexpectedly, or just about anything to describe somebody taking the L. On this day in 1989, it was Super Bowl XXIII as San Francisco and Cincinnati met again in a Super Bowl. These two teams had faced each other 7 years earlier in Super Bowl XVI, with the Niners winning that one. This game was played in Miami and is one of the all-time great Super Bowls, ranking number 7 on NFL.com's list of all-time bests. But there was a lot going on in Miami in the week leading up to the big game that led to the NFL taking a hard look at itself and then push for social change. Now let's talk about the game first, and this one got off to a pretty gruesome start. Both teams suffered game-ending injuries to key players. The 49ers lost offensive tackle Steve Wallace on the third play of the game due to a broken ankle. And then, a few plays later, the Bengals lost All-Pro defensive lineman Tim Crumry who shattered 2 bones in his leg that required a 15-inch steel rod to stabilize it. Well, from that gruesomeness, I will quickly transition to these 2 fun facts. 1. San Francisco kicker Mike Kofer missed a 19-yard field goal that still stands as the shortest missed field goal in Super Bowl history.
Kofer to kick. Pelton, the punter, is the holder. Oh, bad snap. And he misses to the left. The snap or the hold, confused. They weren't able to spot it, and Kofer hooks it wide to the left. Chuck Thomas, the snapper. And so now Walsh will have to second-guess himself as he goes to the man who snapped the ball. They come away empty from the 2-yard line.
And 2, for the first time in Super Bowl history, the Niners had a play overturned by replay. But other than that, it was an uneventful first half, with the teams going to the locker room tied at 3. Each team added field goals in the third, and finally, Cincinnati's Stanford Jennings provided the first touchdown.
It's been a long time since we've had an opportunity to have a Super Bowl game that was this tight, this late in the game. Look out!
Stanford Jennings is going to go all the way. Unless Sidney can catch him, he can't. Touchdown, Cincinnati! Oh, my!
Jennings was a new dad. His wife had given birth to their first child, a daughter, the day before. He had her name written on his shoes as a way to motivate himself, and he ripped off a 93-yard touchdown return, voted by the Cincinnati Enquirer as the #1 play in Bengals history. And it was only the second time in the history of the Super Bowl that a kickoff had been returned for a touchdown. The Niners tied it back up early in the fourth quarter.
Both wide receivers to the left, Taylor and Rice. The throw is to Rice. Touchdown!
Now, the tough part about that for the Bengals is that Lewis Billups dropped a sure interception in the end zone. It hit his hands, and that was just the play before the Niners scored. Well, Cincinnati took the lead back after a field goal, and then starting what would be their final offensive drive with 3 minutes, 10 seconds left on the clock, Joe Cool made his appearance. With the ball sitting on their own 8-yard line and 92 yards to go for the win, Montana walked into the huddle, and sensing some nervousness in his teammates, especially lineman Harris Barton, he looked at Harris and said, "Hey H, look, there's John Candy." The brief, lighthearted moment set nerves at ease a little bit, and the Niners marched down the field. With 39 seconds left in the game, San Francisco had the ball at the 10. Bill Walsh called 20 halfback curl X up, and it turned out to be the game winner.
Bill Walsh has his team 10 yards from a victory himself. Rice has just set a Super Bowl record with 12 catches. He's in motion. Montana, touchdown, John Taylor!
That was Taylor's only catch in the game, and it couldn't have come at a better time. Interesting tidbit, Taylor actually sold cars in the offseason. Not that he needed the money, he just liked the work. Well, after his career ended, he bought a fleet of tractor-trailers and started a trucking business. But his catch provided the final points in a 20-16 San Francisco win and one of the all-time great Super Bowls ever played. So turning to what happened in the week leading up to this game that nearly caused the NFL to relocate Super Bowl XXIII to Tampa. On January 16th, a Miami police officer shot and killed a black motorcyclist and his passenger in an area of Miami known as Overtown. Racial tensions boiled over and riots ensued for the next 2 days. It was the third major race riot in Miami in a decade. It forced the Miami Heat to cancel a game on the 17th, 15 minutes before tip-off, and it made the NFL rethink a couple of things. A few attempts at appeasement came off as hollow in the form of 2 $5,000 scholarships for black youth offered by the NFL from a business entity that rakes in billions of dollars each year, and then suggesting a donation of leftover food from the Super Bowl gala for the homeless in Miami. The league did cancel its Friday gala, Realizing the optics of a $1 million party in a city tearing apart at the seams was not great. But in the weeks and months following the game, there was a renewed effort by the league to elevate black coaches to the head coaching position of an NFL team. The following year, Oakland hired Art Shell as the first black head coach in the league, with several saying what happened in Miami prior to the Super Bowl provided a catalyst. And in the immediate aftermath of the riots, sports in Miami was also given credit for helping cool the temperature down around the city that week. Not only the Super Bowl game itself, but Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls came to town on the 19th to play in Miami for the first time in the Heat's inaugural season, providing a brief break in the problems that faced the city. On this night in 2006, Kobe Bryant had the best night for an NBA player since Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. The Lakers were playing at home against a bad Toronto Raptors team. Toronto played zero defense that season, giving up an average of 104 a night, which put them 29th out of 30 teams. As Bill Simmons points out in the Book of Basketball, Toronto's perimeter defenders that night were Jalen Rose, Mike James, Morris Peterson, Joey Graham, and a past his prime, Eric Williams. So it's not like Kobe was going up against the 1990 Detroit Pistons. Through the first two quarters, Kobe was having a pretty decent night with 26 points, but his team trailed by 14 at the break. At that point, Kobe simply took over.
James has 22 on the night. Knocked away by Kobe. Great hustle by Kobe. He's going to score. Slam dunk, Lakers lead.
Well, that's 51 for number 8. And the Lakers go up by a deuce.
MVP, huh? No doubt right now. Great pass. Kobe alone, slam dunk. Give the assist to Lamar. Toronto got lost on D.
That was the worst defensive sequence the Raptors have played tonight.
Kobe poured in 55 points in the second half. He turned a 14-point deficit into a 6-point lead at the end of the third, and then after he scored his final 5 points from the free throw line, Kobe had 81 points and the Lakers won 122-104. And time now for today's That's Got Nothing to Do with Sports fun fact. No doubt, Leonardo da Vinci was well ahead of his time. Not only did he draw up designs for helicopters and tanks, but he also developed the first satellite map of a city. Now, of course, you should use air quotes around satellite map, since man-made satellites were 4 centuries away. But a map of the Italian city of Imola, drawn in 1502, shows it from above. Those in the know say he probably stepped off the city using a variety of tools to assist with angles and perspective to draw an accurate representation. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.